531 PI.
It is 8:34 for Wednesday, the 1st of October. It is wonderful to be in your company. Talofa koso, I'm William Terite. Now, the Presbyterian Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand will this week make a public apology to survivors of abuse that took place while in its care. The apology, delivered by moderator Rose Luxford, has been shaped in partnership with survivors and will be followed by the unveiling of a new holistic redress process. We're joined now by Convener Katerina Solomona, who will explain what this apology means, what steps perhaps come next, and how the church hopes to begin restoring trust. A very good morning to you.
Good morning. Talofa lava.
Talofa lava. Look, let's first start with, why has the Presbyterian Church decided to make this apology now?
The apology was also part of the Royal Commissioner, and it was about survivors, and it was a survivor-led apology, and it's also the beginning of the redress process for us. There was a lot of moving parts that we needed to make sure we had in place, and also the survivor voice was important as part of this. And they have advised us that it is that regardless, we have to keep going and that we have to deliver the apology. So it was important for the survivors to hear that.
Indeed. And as you mentioned, survivors were involved in shaping of the apology. I suppose, what were some of the key things they wanted acknowledged?
So the key things that they wanted to make sure was acknowledged as by the church was, the abuse that occurred, also around the redress process, how the church will make it right for survivors, and the survivor will also have the final voice and the final say in the room in terms of the apology. And everything that was shaped, even the redress process, was led by survivors. It was designed by survivors for survivors, and it was not led by the church.
And look, let's speak more about that redress process. It's been titled a holistic redress process. What does that look like in practice?
Holistic is about the whole person. It's about bringing the whole person into the redress process. It is survivor-led. They are the one that determines what the redress will look like for them, and that what it will happen in terms of that is that they design it for themselves. It is not designed by the church. We have a hauora coordinator, which is employed by the church, who will take them through the beginning of the journey in terms of just registering the wellness part of that. And then there will then be assigned to what you call a navigator, which is someone who's independent of the church, and they will be the ones that will work them through in terms of what a redress would look like for them. The role of the navigator in this process is making sure that the survivor redress is for survivors, and whatever they feel is necessary that they need is what we will partner with. And around that is really around the process of us making sure that there is wellness in place, there is financial compensation for the harm that was caused, but also there's other elements that we can also contribute to, like the lawyer's fees. We will pay for that, and also around getting them also in a space where if they want to be in touch back with their, with their culture, their kaupapa and their language, we will be able to support them through all of that. If not, it's the whole holistic approach to the person.
Right, okay. And with all of that in mind, I mean, just very quickly, does that also include, say, financial redress?
Yes, it does include the financial redress, but I mean, how do you put a value?
That's right. Yeah.
How do you put a value on the harm that was done? It's just hard.
Yeah.
How do you even do that? And so we are using the Ministry of Social Development, the framework that we have. But again, like I spoke about on Saturday in Dunedin, is that we will adapt and shift, to when the survivor voice tells us otherwise.
I just want to talk now on perhaps restoring trust. It was abundantly clear following the findings that for many survivors, trust in the institution is deeply broken. What does rebuilding that trust look like, say, to you?
We have lost the survivors' trust, and our hope to rebuild that trust is really on their terms, not on ours, and when they're ready. I just wanted to encourage them that the holistic redress process is really for survivors, and it is led by them. And, we've failed. We have failed. We have failed them. And, we're deeply sorry. We are sorry. But words are hollow if there are no actions. And the whole apology and the redress was all designed by survivors. Their voices was throughout the whole process, in terms of that. And I just encourage people survivors to come forward and just allow us to take them through on this journey. And like we said, we put measures in place in terms of independentness of the church, that it's not driven by the church and it's not for the church, it's actually for survivors.
And also, how do you make sure this doesn't, say, get swept aside as a one-off moment but leads to ongoing accountability?
So we've put a lot of measures in place. We've also have in place a independent auditor who is coming to look at everything that we do, from policies, strategies, and making sure that whatever they uncover, we will take the journey together with survivors, and they will also be part of that journey in strengthening of all of our compliance and policies and things in place to make sure that people are protected through what we have in place.
Okay. And I just want to perhaps reflect now, just very quickly, on wider implications. I suppose, what message do you think this apology sends to the wider faith community in Aotearoa?
That we need to, we have to do this, because our people have been hurt for so long, and they're just looking for us just to say sorry. And it is the beginning. It does not mean that, it's the end for us. The church, the faith base, have got a long way to go. But it has to start with the survivor-centric approach, or else we'll keep going back, and never. If their voice is not in the room, all of this and what we do is really, it's like a tick in the box, as the survivors has challenged us in terms of that. Like, who was the redress for? Was it for survivors or was it for the church? And so it really made us shift our posture to really making sure that the survivor voice is throughout the whole process, and it is the only way for us to do this. So I encourage a lot of the faith base that, if you have the survivor voice throughout the journey, as you're looking at making a coming forward and just apologizing, they're the most amazing voice that you will ever have in the room.
Sure. And before we get into the details of where this apology will be held in Tamaki Makaurau, I just want to quickly ask, what would you say to Pacific and Māori families whose trust in church institutions has been shaken by the stories of abuse?
Like in my sharing on Saturday, we've failed. We've failed the uniqueness and the vibrance of our people in the church. We were supposed to be there to protect them. We failed to protect them. Many of our survivors endure the removal, from their cultures and languages, along experiencing sexism and racism. There's a lot of all of that things that the church has a lot to answer for. But for us is that, it is the beginning. It's not the end. There's a long way for us to go, but I just encourage our people that, hope through this redress that they will come forward and help take the journey with us, and their voice will help us shape, and we will adapt as the survivors tells us in terms of that. And we're not going to sit back and just say just because the Royal Commissioner has told us that we have to do this, it does not mean that once we've done it, it's the end for us. This is the beginning of the change that we need in the church. And like I said on Saturday in Dunedin, and I will say it also in Manukau on Saturday, is that, my message is really clear to all the people that call the Presbyterian church home. We must stop. We must reflect, and we must not weaponize religion any longer. We must change. We must do better than what we're currently doing, because, it's about our people.
And finally, just the details of this apology. Where can people go to? What time does it start?
So on Saturday, it starts at 10 o'clock, and it's at the Dewdrop at Manukau, and it will be led by mana whenua, and then it will be facilitated by someone that's independent. It's not part of the church. It was actually a survivor-led approach. The whole thing, there will be artwork there by Roputoiora displaying across there. There's also wellness support on site for those who are wanting to come. There's also on site, you can actually register. When you come there, there's a room set up for you to go and register on site, so that we will take also your details in terms of the redress process when you're ready. So there, it's available there. It's also available on our Presbyterian website, but all of those details is also going to be it's across the whole of our Facebook, and I think a lot of the media have also shared that.
Sure. That is Convener Katerina Solomona. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a good day.
You too.